you really need to talk to the folks here at Next Level. I've got to tell you, just speaking to the people here, they are fired up, they get it, they've got the right balance, and they're all increasing their income, they're increasing their production.
But you're dealing with people that are in the trenches dealing with this, are practitioners, had failures, had successes, learned from it, and it's about helping you not just like get through the next month, but it's about creating legacy business for yourself.
But I can tell you that you are mission focused. I know you're purpose focused, and I can tell you that every loan officer that I've communicated with that's been part of your platform has been a raving fan.
This is the Next Level Loan Officers Podcast, a proud founding member of the Real Disrupt Podcast Collaborative. You can check out more awesome podcasts at realdisrupt.com. And now, Kenneth Travis and Sean Zalmanoff.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Next Level Loan Officers Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you are having an awesome day and that you're a loan officer and you have found Next Level here. If you're a first-time listener, welcome to our podcast. We have many, many episodes you can check out. You can check out our website, nextlevello.com, and get all that great information. If you're a long-time listener, well, then welcome back. We've got another exciting episode for you today, and we're going to be sharing some awesome tips and information and hearing from an amazing originator who's also an OG with the Next Level crew as well. Hey, just want to throw this reminder out before we get started. If you're interested in learning more about Next Level, you can check out becomenllo.com. Again, becomenllo.com. Check us out. You can get access to all of our cool marketing stuff, all of our information. That's $197 a month. It's an unbelievable deal. And we'll give you that web address at the end as well. But here we are today, Sean Z on with me. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Kellen.
It's good to see you. Well, tell us what is in store for our podcast listeners today.
So, man, it's another beautiful episode where we get to talk and share everything that makes you and I the two best coaches in Next Level.
Yes.
So, pretty typical podcast. But no, today we are joined by the man, Jeff Lagoni. So Jeff owns about 75% of Pennsylvania and 90% of Pittsburgh at this point. Jeff, how long have you been in the mortgage business for?
Since 2001. This year will be 20 years.
So I think I've known Jeff for 7-ish years now, and it'd been real easy 10 years ago for Jeff to just continue doing the same thing that he was doing. And man, it's real easy for a lot of us who are stuck in our ways to continue doing things the same way that we're doing them. But Jeff has made a few pivots in his business and has built a monster team. So when we talk about different ways, like, you can be a one-man band, you can do it all yourself. You can build a branch and have a lot of loan officers working with you. And, sometimes the more people, the more headaches if you don't have it managed right. Or you can build a mega team where you probably make more money than everybody else. I don't know. I don't see Jeff's W-2, but I know he closes a lot of loans. And you can set it up to where you have a lot of freedom. Your people love you, and you close a whole lot of loans without talking to very many clients and really just massaging the relationships with realtors. And you get so many at-bats at getting new realtors because you close so many transactions that you just get to work them inside of there. And that's the man that we have here today. And, if you're looking at, if you're struggling, or if you're working too much, or if you just want to have a little more freedom in your life and you want to know how to really run a business and dial in a team, Jeff, there's few people I know that have done it better than you. Does that sum you up pretty well?
It sounds like you're talking about somebody else, but I'll take it.
He's humble too. Yes.
Yeah.
He's a humble man.
Right. Well, so Jeff, Jeff's been like I mentioned, a long time part of Next Level, and we appreciate you for that and everything you've contributed. And I know you've coached and you've helped a lot of loan officers kind of maybe see things a little differently. But for those of you that are listening, or for the audience that's listening here, Jeff, that may not know you, give us kind of a little background of who you are and your business, and then I want to ask you a couple questions about your team and how you guys operate.
Good deal. So for me personally, coming out of high school, the first thing I did was get my pilot license. So I thought, right out of the gate, a pilot works 14 days a month and they make a couple $100,000 a year. I thought that was a good gig, especially growing up with the way I grew up. So my dad was an iron worker. My mom, who's 83 years old, still works at a grocery store as a cashier. And having, I think, 9 of us living in a 3-bedroom house. And, I thought $200,000 a year, working 14 days a month, how do you beat it? And the first flight I took was at 2:00 in the morning, flying cans of I don't know what to Ohio, and flying over West Virginia. There's no lights, and I started dozing off. And I said, man, this just isn't for me. So I go and I get a degree in computer information systems and become a computer programmer for 7 years. And again, sitting in a cube, working from 6 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, figuring out code, not talking to anybody, realized that wasn't for me either. So after 9/11 hit, 75% of the developers, which was me and my department, got laid off because we were actually writing and developing code. And I worked on a work management system that was going mobile computing. And this is back in 2001 for the Ministry of Defense. And they canceled the contract and we got laid off. So I get into the mortgage world and it fits me perfectly. And so I start working in the mortgage world, and from 2001 to 2007 was a struggle. Those days were, I know there were a lot of loan officers killing it back then. It really wasn't. I was just learning the business. And back then everybody cowboyed up, right? There were no training systems. There were nobody to teach you how to do loans. You were just winging it.
Ken Travis says during that time, his mentor told him to fake it until you make it. He said, that's the only training I got.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? The account executives coming into your office, trying to solicit loans, maybe they'd show you a couple things, but just kept swinging. And I don't know that I made more than $18,000 a year for the first few years. And I don't know that I broke $48,000 for the first probably 7 years, because I just kept helping friends and family. And, coming from the background I did, I wasn't a sales guy, and I felt I was giving everything away. And so at that point, I had touched enough people that I got so busy that by 2014, I was working around the clock. So there just wasn't enough time in a day. I would start at 7 in the morning and I would work until 3 in the morning. And, I got married in 2014. And after being married for a few months, my wife came downstairs at 3:00 in the morning and she goes, what are you doing every night until 3:00 in the morning? And I'm like, I'm working, right? So I'm sending emails. I'm following up with agents. I'm sending out pre-approval letters. And she goes, you need help. And so at that point is when I started getting coached.
Dude, that's awesome. So that was 2000, you said 14?
Yep.
So let's take a trip through the time hop here and fast forward to 2021. My goodness. So give us a little kind of a visual of what your team looks like today.
Well, first, how many nights a week you work until 3 in the morning now?
0.
Oh, so we've made a change.
How many nights you working past 6:00?
Should be 0, but I just like to work. So sometimes I do, but it could be 0. Yeah. So right now we're making some adjustments for 2021. So sometimes I am working past 6, but it's a choice. It's not a have to. Yep.
Well, that's it, right? It's a choice. I love that. It's like, man, I'm choosing to. It's okay. Nothing wrong with that, right?
Everything's fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, the other thing is, like, during those days, I felt like I was on house arrest, right? And I didn't even commit the crime. And it wasn't, the drive wasn't money or making more money. The drive was my reputation. I just didn't want to let people down. Yeah. And so when I built a team, I don't want anybody on my team on house arrest either. So, as the team goes, there's nobody going from 7 in the morning to 3 in the morning, 7 days a week either. And we've implemented some really cool ways to respect our time and have balance.
I love that. Okay. So map out for us kind of the team players.
So the team players, we call her our secret weapon, is our team coordinator. And she's the director of first impressions. She's the one that, everybody loves her. And so she's the one, she helps everybody on the team. She helps every aspect of the loan. And she also communicates with the agents and the customers as well. So there's the team coordinator, and then there's 3 loan partners. These are the people that really know guidelines, that are problem solvers, that know how to structure the loans and figure things out. And then we have 1 processor.
So Jeff, for a frame of reference, like, do you remember how many loans you closed in 2014?
I do, right? So like, I think it was 2013, I did 133 loans, but then I hired 1 person without being coached, and I took a 35% pay cut. And the next year, I think I closed 94 because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to hire, who to hire. Like, I was hiring elephants to climb trees. So that, another reason to get coached.
And then, so like 2020, 2019, what were you closing then roughly?
2020, we did 364 units.
Wow.
Yep.
Good for you.
Yep.
That's a loan a day.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you missed it by 1, man.
Yeah.
Well, was it a leap year last year? Was it
we just took Christmas off.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So I love this. And if you're listening, man, this is great stuff. Jeff's a real guy. Like he's not an article you're reading about. He's not like a, figment of your imagination that that we're describing. Like, Jeff's a real guy. He's up in Pittsburgh. He's got this team. He's closing 364 loans. And he's doing it with 3 LPs, a processor, and a team coordinator, which is awesome. So in that process, or in that team setup, Jeff, 2 questions for you. First is, what's your role in that team?
So my role has switched, right? So instead of my clients are now my team, right? So how do I make their lives better? How do I give them the tools to stay in their fast lane, in their happy place longer, doing what they love to do, and then building around that, and then creating relationships with referral partners. So my job now is to meet with my team. We meet Monday through Thursday at 9:30 in the morning, and we cover what's hot right now with the files we're working on. What can we do better? It's an open dialogue. There's no boss on the team, so no one's answering to anybody. It's a collaborative effort, and I can't say I built this team. I mean, we built this team, right? So we got people on this team that joined me when we first started building it in 2015, so it's ours, right? It's not mine. And so we just share, like, how do we move? How do we adjust a little bit? And the one analogy we always use is, if a plane takes off from Pittsburgh heading to San Diego, it's off course almost 100% of the time. But that pilot's always making small adjustments to get it to its destination. So clarity is power, and that's what you guys teach at Next Level. So we're clear on what our goals are, and we just keep making those small adjustments or sharpening our axe every day, just to get better and better.
Man, I love that. So I think for a lot of loan officers who are listening, one of the things that we hear from them a lot is it's hard to give up that control. Right now, I didn't hear you say that you take applications, that you pull credit, that you run DU, that you chase down page 5 of the bank statement. So is it safe to say that you have somebody, a loan partner, a licensed loan partner, that does those activities for you?
Yeah. And here's the other thing, right? So the one thing you have to be okay with, well, I was at a point in my life where I think I quit the mortgage industry 5 times. Right. Like, I'm out. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm going to go back to bartending. I'm going to go back to doing something other than loans because I just can't do it anymore. And I want to be a 5-star husband. I just got married. I have to be a 5-star daddy for my son and my stepdaughter, because you get one chance to raise these kids right. Yep. And if you don't do it right the first time, they're coming back with kids. So yeah.
Right. Well, so for these loan officers, I don't mean to cut you off here, but I just want to make a point, because I think this is really important. And if you're listening to this, you might again still be kind of thinking this. So Jeff didn't say he does any of these things, but these LOs out there are in their minds thinking, well, I would never trust somebody else to do it. I have to be the one that talks to that borrower. I have to be the one that pulls credit. I've got to double check DU. So what would you say to that LO that might have that mentality?
Well, so the thing I heard when I was getting coach is if they can do it 80% as good as you do, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. And so the other part is you have to give people permission to fail. Like none of us are perfect. We weren't perfect when we first started. You're not going to have somebody who's perfect when they first join your team. And so you just have to be supportive. You have to encourage the mistakes, because if they're not making mistakes, they're not even trying. And so the mistakes are a welcome thing. It's a teaching moment. It's a growing moment. So as long as they can do it 80% as good as you can, it's okay. Well, the other part of that is after you start hiring people, you'll realize they're probably better than you are if you hire the right people. And so, I had an agent early on that said, listen, it's going to always have to be you. Like,
Right.
Jeff, if it's not you, we're not going to do business together. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but that guy's gone. He's not going to be here anymore. And then full circle, 2 years later, she calls me up and says, hey, I got some bad news for you. And I'm like, what's up? And she goes, your team is 10 times better than you ever were solo. Right. So like, I'll take that. Like my loan partner, he's a problem solver. He knows guidelines better than I know guidelines. He gets things done that I couldn't even think about getting done. The team coordinator, I mean, she's gone on coffee appointments with me to meet agents. Man, we're into the conversation for 5 minutes and they're talking about how do you create smoky eyebrows. I don't know how to do smoky eyebrows, right? But she's doing the coffee appointment better than I am. And so you'll be surprised that when you know how to hire and you know what you're looking for, you'll hire people that are actually better than you.
So Jeff, you said something, and I kind of want to share a story because it's a lot how we work, and I want to see how we both got to the same conclusion. So whenever we bring somebody on in the office, like we let them know, like you're gonna make mistakes. In fact, like we're not doing our job if you're not making mistakes because we're too busy to teach and train you on everything. But we have one rule, and that rule is whenever you make a mistake, you bring it to our attention. Because if you make the mistake 3 times, I don't care if you were trained on it or not, it's your fault. You make the mistake once, 99% of the time it's our fault, or we didn't explain it right, and we can always correct that. And what I have found is that the more that I empower people to make mistakes, the less mistakes they actually make because they know that we have our back. And so like, what did, you were mentioning that, and I think it is so important for anybody who's building a team to really grasp that concept. And like, did you have that philosophy when you started building the team, or what changed, or how'd you get to that point?
Well, I'm going to say I didn't do it on purpose in the beginning. In the beginning when I hired a loan partner and he said he could take a 1003, I said, I'm out. I'll see you later. I left. Yeah. I was so done with mortgages. I left for a month. And he put 23 loans on the books for a month. We missed every commitment date and we missed every closing date. And so that's okay. Right. And then we worked through it. So at first it was just, I was done. And then he took ownership of it, but now we encourage it. Right. So we're like, look, come on, like you're going to make mistakes. You should be making mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, you're not trying. And so we encourage it now. And then that Monday through Thursday morning meeting is so powerful. So we get on that call and we say, okay, let's talk. Like how'd it go? What did you trip up on? How can we help? And then the team helps. So we encourage that now.
I find we do some of those huddle calls as well, kind of pipeline calls. It's amazing how, you can get somebody, a loan partner, or even a processor that's working on a file and they just get tunnel vision, and they can't see past it, or there's something that's really tripped them up. And you take it to the group and you take it to somebody like yourself who's been in the business for, 19 years and 20 years. And all of a sudden you can problem solve as a group and get that deal across the finish line. I love that. So, I think just to put a bow around this, if you're a loan officer listening, and Jeff, I got to tell you too, like I take so much away from what you talk about. I mean, we all, I think, pick up nuggets, and you've just become an amazing example of that type of a model that we kind of call it the mega loan officer, right? Like you're one LO, but with an amazing team. We had another gentleman on our podcast a few months back, Nash Paradise. It's a great episode. If you haven't heard that one, go check that one out if you're listening. You guys run very similar operations, and it's no coincidence that you're also both extremely successful. So, I always kind of learned by following others, and rather than creating and blazing my own trail, I was like, man, I'm just going to follow this blueprint that Sean Z had put out there, or Jeff or Ken or whoever else. No reason to go reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to do what they did, and maybe I'll tweak it a little bit along the way. So if you're listening to this,
Kellen, is you actually followed Ken's and had success.
Right. Yeah. Despite, despite his blueprint. Yeah. So, listen, if you're a loan officer, you're out there and you're struggling with some of these things, or you're like me, or you're like Jeff was back in the day. And you're like, man, I'm spinning my wheels. I'm working 18 hours a day. I'm working way too much. I'm not seeing my family, all of those things. And yet I'm not moving the needle. Cause I certainly felt that way. Jeff, you and I have talked about that. It's like, man, I'm working a ton, and I can't seem to get to the next plateau, the next point. I'd really encourage you, if you're listening to this, you're not a part of Next Level, it's a great opportunity to join. In fact, Jeff's a coach here at Next Level, so you can actually bend his ear a little bit once you become a member, and talk to him about building a team, and he'd be more than happy to connect with you on that. And you just go to becomeinllo.com. Again, becomeinllo.com. You can sign up and have immediate access today. Jeff, as always, my man, it is so good to see you. From the bottom of my heart, we appreciate you. We appreciate everything you've done for Next Level, and as well as the loan officer community at large. Thank you for being here today.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
And Sean Z, as always, great to connect with you and co-host another episode of the #1 listened to loan officer podcast. So I could be more proud, and I appreciate you, Sean. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.
See you.